I'm Stacy.
Hey, I'm Steph,
Welcome to Harnessing Your Power.
where we discuss everyday topics to break through the stigma and harness our power through self-mastery.
Tune in every Tuesday to join us in conversation as we dig deep into our minds and get closer and closer to our highest self. I think we can go ahead and just get started because we do have some people on here. So thank you for tuning in if you are here with us live, and thank you for watching it if you're watching the recording. Today, Steph and I will be talking about a topic that has been a long time coming. It's something that we talk about often because it's something that we definitely think about often individually, and that is the power of your why. Oh, Soraya sent me with the curls. Yes. Here I am.
You look really good.
Thank you. Honestly, like every time it's curly like this, I always wish my natural hair was curly. So thank you. Got me all distracted now. I'm blushing. Okay. So today we're gonna talk about the power of your why, or your purpose, and kind of like the deeper thing that moves you to do what you're doing and what you're working towards. So to get started with a question, and this question is for everyone, so definitely answer in the chat, but this question is also for you, Steph, even though I know your answer. And the question is, do you know what your deeper purpose is, or your reason why you're doing what you're doing, and why you want more for yourself, and why you want to accomplish the goals that you want to accomplish? Do you know your why? Is this something that you've thought about?
Okay, I want to see if we get some answers first. I definitely love hearing everybody else's interaction. So definitely want to hear some back. But I feel like I have deeply thought about my why. However, I will say I feel like a why is ever evolving. So I know this one might take a little bit longer to type, but definitely want to hear some of your guys' whys. Or even just a yes, like if you feel like you do know your why, you feel like you have deeply thought about this.
Yeah.
Is it fair to say whys? Yes, absolutely. I think it's fair to say whys.
I love that. And that's actually something that I always bring up when I talk about mine, because it's definitely plural for me. So I love that, just calling it whys.
Yes. So I'll wait for, if anybody else has anything, I'll wait for those to come in. But I do feel like I've thought about a deeper why, but I also feel like I never really thought about having a why or why push further until I dove into an entrepreneur journey, until I became a part of this business. And I feel like I said whys are ever evolving, because I feel like when I first thought about a why, when somebody was like, okay, why do you want to be a six-figure earner? Why do you want to be an entrepreneur? Why do you want to do more? I was like, well, I want to quit all my jobs, duh. Like, I want to have no boss, duh. So I feel like that's pretty straightforward when you first start that. But I feel like as you dig deeper and as things change and as you evolve as a person and as an entrepreneur, things start to change a little bit. And if you don't have a deep why, deeper than just, hey, I want to quit all my jobs and have no boss, then what happens next? And I feel like that's kind of where I found myself, because I got into the entrepreneur field. I started doing well. I was able to quit my jobs. But then after that, why was I doing anything? And I feel like it took me a long time to really dig deep. And I think something that I really like to speak on now is, when you think about why you're doing it or why you want more, also think about what happens to your why if you don't do more. What happens to your why if you don't succeed, or if you don't actually pull through with what you said you were going to do. Do you want me to go deeper and more explain my why? Do you want to continue? Do you want to?
Oh my gosh, I feel like you just said so much.
Okay.
And that's what I knew this topic would be like, because it is kind of like a loaded topic, so you can't really talk about it with talking about all of it. But before you go deeper into your why, I do definitely want to hear it. So if you missed the question, we just asked, do you know your why? Is your deeper why something that you've thought about? And you can just drop a yes if you have. But I can definitely relate to what you said, Steph, about at first getting into entrepreneurship, not really like thinking about a deeper why. Because I feel like for a long time, yes, I did write goals. And yes, I did think about big ideas or like long-term dreams. It wasn't really in a way where it seemed real or where it seems like that's actually what's going to happen for me until I got into entrepreneurship and specifically this business that we're in and really focused on, okay, but why? I was very much someone who was like, okay, here's some goals. Let me achieve those and then think about the next goals. And very like following a process. Let me just do what I have to do and then I'll think about what's next. But why? Why not think about all of it right now? Like, why? Because that's how you're able to make it real. So it's not something that I've thought about honestly for a long time. It's only been in like the last 4 to 6 months that I've really like journaled a few times about it and like sat out and thought about it. And I also love the other point you said that you think to you, like not only is your why, could it be multiple things, but it's ever evolving. Because that was something I wrote down as I was thinking about this. I was like, wow, it's actually really inspiring to think about your reason why and to think about your purpose. Because as you sit and like connect with yourself and connect with like what it is that motivates you and what your bigger goals and desires are, they just expand. And then you realize how much more is possible. And then your whole vision expands. And I feel like that is just so inspiring to even think about. Did I freeze?
Now you froze. Okay, you're back. Okay. So I actually love how you worded that because I feel like, so when you talk about being like thinking deeper and being even more inspired for more whys, I actually had a conversation with somebody on Instagram. He's just somebody that I literally met through Instagram, and he had a conversation. We were going back and forth, and he was like, why does it even matter? Like we somehow got into talking about money and like just being better to do better and like just be in a better place, financial freedom. And he was like, why do you even need that much money? Like, cool, you can, but why? And I thought it was crazy, the fact that, cool, like the more you think about having more money, the more you can think about what you will do with it. And even if it's not money, even if it's just more network that you have access to help other people or different things like that, just more success or more being more better is not a not being better connected, but being able to do those things. Like, what are you able to do when you have access to all of those things? And I thought it was interesting that he was just like, no, I'm good, like I just want to do me, whatever. But I feel like when it comes to a deeper why, you start thinking about not just yourself.
Right. Exactly. I actually read one thing before this live. To be honest, I had a few other things I wanted to read and listen to. But like I said, the day and the week has just flown by. I've been in grind mode. But one thing I did read that I wasn't even going to bring up, but that's what it was talking about, was like the power of your why. And then also the power of like, am I frozen?
No, you're here.
Okay. It keeps loading on my side, so I'm not sure. But the power of your own personal why, and then the power of a collective why or a collective purpose. Because having a purpose and a deeper reason why does allow you to be less self-centered and not only allows you to see a bigger vision for yourself, but a bigger vision for everyone. So then when you're in a community that has a collective purpose and a collective vision, it's even expanded beyond that. And I thought that was amazing, because I feel like that is the community and business that we're part of, is definitely that collective vision. Soraya said collective purpose.
Okay, so moving a little bit forward, something that everybody should think about, and I would love to see some answers if we can get some interaction, but also for you, Stacey, if money was not a thing, was not an issue, was not something that you had to worry about, what would you be doing?
In this moment, at a beach somewhere, on a hammock with my dog, and it's sunny outside, so somewhere that it's the daytime right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, just chilling somewhere that I've never been before.
Alignment.
What about you?
So I agree. I feel like I'd be somewhere I'd never been before, maybe like Bali. I don't know why, but Bali's always been on my, well, I do know why. It's always been on my bucket list because I follow Manifestation Babe, and that's where she does her Bali retreat, or her retreats. So Bali is a place that I'd definitely be at, or I don't know, I'd definitely be traveling though, but I feel like that's always the first thought that comes to mind. If money was not a thing at all, where would I be? But I feel like I started thinking about that a little bit deeper. Like, what if money wasn't a thing for like a long time? Then
right,
what?
like not just in this moment.
Yeah.
In life.
I want to see some answers, because I feel like some people's answers might be different than just travel.
Right, I'm interested. Oh, you knew the spot. She said exactly right here in Greece.
Literally.
I love it. See, that means, and I knew you would have an answer, Dimes, because you've envisioned it.
Ooh.
Wait, read some of these answers.
I would want to build a sanctuary to save animals, but at the same time, get away and unplug. And then facts. I would go somewhere every 6 months, tasting different foods, experiencing different cultures. I like that.
Yes.
I like that. And I also love the sanctuary. I just love that, and I love that it's something like very heartfelt.
Right. That's something that you included and thought about right away.
Yes.
That's amazing.
And I feel like that's what I meant, like thinking deeper. If money wasn't a thing for a long time, definitely play with pandas and elephants. I knew we'd have some interesting things on here. Why pandas and elephants? But yeah, I feel like if money wasn't a thing in the bigger picture, what charities would we have? Or would we even need charities? I don't know. Something I would do now if I had a lot of money.
Yeah. Exactly. Honestly, if it was a long-term thing, I would create my own like communities. Like eco villages. Have you ever heard of those?
I haven't, actually.
So there's different levels of them and like different types, but they're pretty much just a community of some sort. Sometimes it's just like one house. Sometimes it's like bigger, on like acres and acres and multiple houses and dwellings or whatever. But it's a group of people who live in a type of like co-op situation. So one of the main things is that the eco village itself is like self-sustainable. So they have different ways to get their own power and their own water and deal with their waste, and everyone like pitches in and like really like living like on the land, like dirty hands every day type of thing. So I would want to like create a community like that, but more accessible to everyone, because those eco villages are like different co-op programs. You usually have to commit to a certain amount of time living there and like how much you're going to support. But if money wasn't a thing, we could just make communities like this literally everywhere. And that's like that's literally mind-blowing as I'm sitting here thinking about it. Like as we're sitting here talking about it, I'm literally thinking deeper and deeper, and I'm like, okay, but like go bigger. Like if money wasn't an issue, it's not going to be one community, it's not going to be 10, it's not going to be 100, it's going to be endless. Like
yes, let's think much bigger, much sooner.
Yes.
Wow, I love that. And I love that that's also different to some of the other things that you want to start, like, but it all comes hand in hand. I wrote that down, eco villages. I'm gonna look that up.
Yeah. So that being said, like, to expand that farther, how often have you like envisioned what your life will really look like when you are a six-figure earner, and when you are in a place where money's not as much of an issue, and like you're able to do these things? Like, have you sat down and actually envisioned what your day-to-day life would be like, or will be like, what it is like, because it's already that.
Ooh, wait, Josh said, would we just go back to bartering or trading?
Oh, like with the eco village communities? That's a whole conversation. There's some that are like that, but I don't know. Haven't thought that far. But see, that's the thing. It like can make you start thinking not only bigger, but through like details like that, which for me is a way that helps my vision to really become a reality.
Fernando said being able, I think, to be the 0.1% of people who can do anything they want without having struggles. And going into the question that you asked about if I was, how often have I envisioned that, I wanted to make like a little disclaimer on here that your why doesn't necessarily have to be for money, but I think it's more the why to push you to be better, to do better, to get bigger things. And I think as you develop, your income grows. The more you develop, like the more you personal develop, your income is going to grow. The more you learn, the more you're able to have access to, your income is going to grow. So I don't want to say that they're directly connected, because it could be your why to just be better overall, but I feel like your money increases with that as well. But when it comes to envisioning myself as a six-figure earner, or as a seven-figure earner, I actually feel like I've envisioned that a lot, but it was something that I learned through a lot of personal development podcasts, a lot of growth, just learning and reading and being able to know that, yes, it's possible, but can you actually feel it, and can you actually see it in your future? If you can see it in mind, you can see it in real life. And I feel like, so I was listening to a podcast that had me journal out an entry of what I look like as my higher self. And I feel like that was just a really big even thought process for me, because the way she went further on to explain it, like, really think about where you're living. What does it look like when you open your window? What does your house look like when you walk into your kitchen? What does that look like? Do you have kids? Do you wake up early? What kind of morning rituals do you have? Things like that. And I feel like that's also why we need to develop to be that higher self person, or that higher being of ourselves, because there's just a lot of, I don't know, do you think that you could be a six-figure earner being the person that you are right now?
Yes.
Do you feel like you need to develop to become that six-figure earner though?
Yes. I feel like both.
Okay.
I feel like I am equally prepared if I were to make six figures tonight, but I definitely feel like I can be more prepared, and I can definitely develop to be in a better position and mindset for the six figures to come more easily and to come multiple times. But go ahead. Wait, what?
No. When you said multiple times, my question was going to be, if you reached six figures now, do you think you? I mean, I do feel like because of certain things and trading plans and stuff, you would be able to go ahead and multiply that. But do you think that? Do you think that you can make it continuously come, like how you said, be able to come multiple times? And do you think you'd be able to develop into that seven-figure earner from that?
Yes.
Without the growth and without the envisioning and without the why.
Okay, no. That's what I was gonna say, is I definitely think that something I'm working on is also having confidence in the moment, recognizing that yes, I need to develop more and I want to continue growing into my highest and best self so everything around me elevates. Because definitely, like what you were saying, as we become our better selves and we elevate, our income will elevate as well. But I also want to have confidence in this moment, like I said, to be ready in case it does happen, right? Because that would be amazing and that would be ideal. But I don't think it's truly possible, and you to truly be able to do like the bigger things that you want and really work towards your purpose without thinking about your why and without envisioning it, like you're saying. And I've done those journal prompts before. They're kind of fun. I did one super specific, like thinking about like what I would get to drink and like all this type of stuff, like who your friends are, what you order when you go out to dinner, like
how
all
different
those things
you get to eat.
Literally. And it's so cool. Like that's what I feel like helps expand your vision. But then what also helps make it a reality for me is some of those more specific envisioning. Like I think I've said it before on a live, when I was filling out a trading plan of like my goals to have as profits from different types of trading every day. And when I was getting to the point where the profits for the day or for the trade were 4, 5, 6 figures, and I'm writing that down in my trading plan, it's like, whoa, like I had the moment where I second guessed myself and I was like, wait, like, can I do that? And then I'm like, wait, yes, I can. And so I feel like that's also a huge part of understanding your why, and then also like using your why to drive your vision, because then that gives you confidence to make you see that, yes, I want to do this. I'm going to stay motivated to grow and to achieve this, but also, yes, I can do this.
So I was scrolling up a little bit to see if I had missed anything. And I saw that Tristan said, I love this. I need to start thinking of myself in 10 years more. And thinking of 10 years more and thinking of what we were talking about, think much bigger, much faster. I think that's also where the importance of having a vision and a why come to play. Because now when you can start envisioning yourself as that 6, 7 figure earner, now when you can start envisioning yourself as your higher self, and truly feeling that, I think at that point, now you have a vision. Now you can start thinking about, okay, what does my life look like as this person? And think much bigger, much faster. It doesn't necessarily have to be in 10 years. In 10 years, so much can happen in 1 year. Imagine what you can do in 10 years, 10x, whatever you think you're capable of, because you're capable of so much more. And I think that's huge. And I think you can have a why with no vision, but you can't have a vision without a why.
Wait, say it again?
I think you can have a why with no vision, but you can't have a vision without a why. Does that make sense?
It does, because your why also gives you your direction. Someone said it on a call, and I've heard it on a few calls, that you run in the direction you're looking. And I feel like your why helps give you that direction. Maybe not the exact thing you're going to do. It might not be the exact project you're doing right now, or, you know, but it's all that deeper thing that you're doing it all for. The one thing I read was also talking about how powerful it is to connect to our purpose and our why psychologically. Because as humans, our consciousness and our brain is literally wired for fulfillment. And the best way humans feel fulfilled is when they are actively acting from their purpose or towards their purpose. So I thought that was interesting because it's not just envisioning from manifesting and for your future self, but all of this has a positive impact on your current self. Because like we were saying, it gives you that confidence boost and it makes you realize like not only is this possible, but this is going to happen and this is why I'm doing it. So it gives you power in this present tense and sets you up to be your best future self.
So I love that you said how the brain works, because I actually listened to something before this where he was talking about these are the things that we communicate. We generally tend to talk about talk about the what, which is on the outside, talk about the how, which is the middle, and talk about the why, which is the center. So we're generally focusing on what and how, and that's usually how we communicate. But the brain is set up in a similar way where the outside section, which is going to be the what and how, that's going to represent the neocortex, which is your rational brain, your analytical brain, and it's also controlled by language. Then the middle section, okay, my bad, it's the middle two sections, why and how, is the limbic brain. This is going to control your feelings, trust, behavior, and there's no capacity for language. So in the video, he was talking about if we operate from the outside or from the inside out versus operating from the outside in, which is usually how we're operating. We're usually thinking, okay, what am I going to do and how am I going to do it? Versus really thinking about the deeper core thing about why are we going to do it? Which is the reason that a lot of the times we can have all the facts and everything can look good on paper and everything sounds great. And you're just like, it just doesn't feel right. Because we're not communicating and living from the inside out. So I thought that was really interesting how the center is literally why. Why are you doing this? Why are we making this happen? And really letting that control our feelings and our behaviors.
Wow. I loved everything about that. I drew down the graphic because that is really interesting about how we communicate from the what and the how, and how that can be related to your deeper why and operating from that deeper why. Because I feel like that is also what helps you when times are not so great. Thanks, Times. Because especially as an entrepreneur, you know, there will be ups and downs, and there will definitely be some periods when you're like, hey, like, I just want to give up. That literally happened to me today. This happened in between when we spoke on the phone earlier today and this live. So literally just like an hour ago. I have been working on this one project that I am launching. I will be announcing very soon. Stay tuned. And it is something that I've been working on for too long. It kept just getting delayed and pushed down on my priority list, but I really need to get the first part done so it can get launched, and then it won't be as time consuming. So it was one of my big goals this week to get it done and get the first part of it launched. So I have been working tirelessly on this all week while I'm also working on a huge paper for my master's program. And today I was actually planning on launching the project right before this live, and I was going to announce it on this live. And I was just doing some final last minute checks, like finalizing a few things. And I came across a huge piece of information that pretty much is going to end up causing me a larger business expense up front about something I had no idea about. I've been working on this for months, literally about to launch it, and then boom, I just came across this information. And literally in that moment, I was like, oh, like there's been a lot of bumps along this whole way. I don't have time for this. I put all my time to this week, and now like this, and like it's not going to maybe have the launch I want or whatever. I just want to like give up. But because my mindset has already kind of shifted, well, shifted a lot, not kind of. And because I am so focused on my why right now and expanding my why, and my purpose is just always like in the front of my mind, when I thought about giving up this project, my first thought was, okay, well then what else? What other thing am I going to do that's going to have the same positive impact? What other thing am I going to do for a stream of income? What other thing am I going to do? And then I'm like, well, if not this, then what? And right now, this is actually something that I haven't wasted my time on. I've learned a lot, and I've put a lot of effort towards it. So let me finish it. But I feel like if I didn't have that why, like right in my mind, it would have been easier to just give up. Because if I would have thought about giving up, that would have just been it. I would not have thought like, okay, then what else am I going to do? I would just thought, okay, whatever, I'll just give up. But because I was thinking about my why, and I thought, well, then what other thing? I was like, let me just figure this out. And I feel like that actually happens so often. And sometimes it even happens on a subconscious level where we don't even think about it as much. But we just have a moment of doubt. And then right away we think about why we're doing everything. And I know, especially for people who their why is deeply connected to their family, if they have children, or if they have parents or grandparents who are still working and they want to be able to retire them, or just help different people in their life or their community, people talk about literally seeing those people's face in their head. And that's the same kind of thing. Like, see your own face too. Tell yourself you're giving up. Like,
yes, I love that you said see your own face, because I feel like a lot of times I hear people say like, okay, if your why's your mom, and you think about, okay, I maybe you want to quit this thing that I was going to do, go, think about telling your mom, sorry, mom, I'm not following through with what I said I was going to do. But also thinking about yourself, like truly having yourself be a part of your why, and your future self, like your future life, your future you, because the better you that you have, the better future you are, the more you'll be able to do for your why.
yes.
So I feel like something I always like to say on this is, it's not selfish to think about you too, like in the process. So yeah.
Definitely. And I love how you said, wait, real quick, I love how you said about think about your future self too, because how many times like have you procrastinated on something and then you're stressing at the last minute and you think back like, oh, if I would have just done it. So now think on a bigger scale. Like, do we want to let ourselves down? We want to look back and be like, wow, look how much I grew, or look, it's not just about what you accomplished, but whatever type of progress or growth.
Sacrificing your current self for your future self.
Yes. It's huge. But what were you about to ask?
So it was just the way that you had worded that when you were like, when you think about your why and you think about your purpose, do you think your why and your purpose are the same thing every time? Or do you feel like your purpose can be different from your why? And I know that's a question that kind of just sprung on you, and it kind of just came to mind.
I think that they're connected, but that it can definitely be different. And I actually wanted to look up the definition of purpose and vision, but both those words have different meanings too, like actual eyesight and different things. I didn't find a definition that I liked. But to me, just thinking about it right now, I feel like your purpose is more about like your impact, or what it is that like you want to do or you want to leave, versus your why is more like what is driving you inside. So I feel like your purpose is more like what you're giving, and your why is like why. I feel like your
Yeah,
purpose
what's
is more
giving
like
you
your what.
strength?
What?
You said your purpose is what you're giving, and when you said your why, is why you're doing stuff. What's giving you the strength for that purpose?
Exactly.
Mm.
Why? But I feel like sometimes they could be the same thing, or they could be
Okay.
like connected in a way. Like if your why is because you have children, what's going to be driving you is because you want to be able to like provide for them, but your purpose could also be to provide for them. You know what I mean? Like I feel like it could be connected, but yeah, I don't know. They kind of build on top of each other. What do you think? Do you think they're the same or?
I think I agree with what you were saying. I think your purpose can be much, I don't want to say bigger than your why, because I feel like your why can be really big. Ooh, Josh is dropping some stuff. But I feel like your purpose is almost, yes, bigger. Like, what kind of impact are you leaving in the world when you're no longer here as well? What do people say about you when you're gone? So I feel like that's kind of more of your purpose. Like, and I think that also goes deeper into who you are. If that makes sense. Like, who are you and what, like, okay, for example, Tristan, not everybody thinks about the animals. And I feel like not everybody would have that thought of doing that sanctuary, or, when it comes to people who want to help kids, if instead of maybe doing a sanctuary for animals, maybe somebody else wants to start an orphanage, things like that, or like a safe space. So I feel like, yes, they are connected, like you said, but I do think purpose can be a little bit bigger or have a little bit more impact.
Yeah, I feel like relating it back to that diagram you drew, I feel like purpose is almost the what and the how, and the why is the why.
Oh, yes. Yes, I agree, actually, a lot. But you can't have purpose without the why, right?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Because the why is like the center where you're moving from. Wow. I had not even thought about it in that way.
Josh said, sight is the ability for you to see things for what they are. Vision is the ability to see things for what they could be. Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Yes. A lot of people have sight, but not everybody has vision. Ooh.
Yep. Yeah. Honestly, we might have to have another time where we talk a little bit more about vision.
Yes.
I feel like there's more that can be said about just having a vision and ways to expand your vision too, because that's also like a change in mindset.
Yes. And I feel like the vision can always keep growing. I feel like the more I'm exposed to, the more I'm like, oh, I can also do this.
Yes.
Also do this. And I'm like, wow, the options are literally limitless.
Yes, options and opportunities everywhere.
Yes. But literally think much bigger, much sooner. Back to the Tristan example. I'm just going to keep using that example because Tristan, I feel like that was just perfect. But think much bigger, much sooner. Can you have one sanctuary or can you have multiple? And I think that also comes with not only an increase in mindset, but and an increase in finances, but also an increase in networking. Because I feel like the more people you know, maybe somebody wants to franchise your sanctuary and do not franchise, but and have their own as well, and be able to have a much bigger impact on the animals.
Yes. And then on those other people too, and it just creates a whole domino effect of goodness.
Yeah. Let me see. I don't think there's anything we missed.
We are coming up on like 45 minutes. And wow, like I was super excited to talk about this topic, but honestly, I did not expect myself to have so many new thoughts during our conversation. I feel like my own vision just expanded, and yeah, honestly, I'm grateful for that. But I don't know, do you have any last points or anything else you wanted to share?
No, just I feel like literally. Thank you for this good energy. Love you, Josh.
Thank you.
I think literally always the number one thing that has stuck with me that actually Gustavo said one time and it's literally stuck with me forever is literally that: think much bigger, much sooner. Because we think about our whys and we think about our visions and we think about our purpose. And I think the more you get exposed to, the more you see, the more somebody tells you, but think bigger, you realize how much easier or how easy it could actually be. So think much bigger, much faster, to get your why, whatever your why is, whatever you want that to be, whatever your purpose to be, for that to be accomplished.
Yes, definitely. And honestly, I feel like that's the breakthrough that I just had in our conversation when I was thinking about creating the eco village like communities and like expanding that to creating thousands. So really just seeing that vision and connecting with yourself, because I feel like that's also where power comes into with your why. Because maybe you're someone who's listening to this. Actually, I wanted to say this. If you're someone who's listening to this and you don't have a why, or you don't have an understanding of your why, because you have a why, you just don't know it yet. But if you haven't thought much about, your purpose or your why, that's okay. Think about it now. Because like I said, that was just me a few months ago. And yes, like Fernando said, finding yourself is key. So especially if you're maybe feeling unhappy with different things in your life, maybe you need to reflect a little bit more and think about what is your ideal self. Steph and I said it, in terms of six-figure earner, because that's something that we talk about a lot, and that's definitely something that we both see as not just representing us as six-figure earners, but the place we'll be at with that growth and that mindset and those connections. So maybe for you, it's what does it look like when my business is successful, or I don't know, whatever like your next bigger goal or bigger dream is. Think about that. What does it look like for you when you're there? And why do you want to be there? And really just have that time to reflect with yourself and to be honest with yourself and to really dive deeper, and harness your power.
I love that.
And Josh said, how do we project that vision for others to see as well? And I definitely think that is something that we should talk about in a follow-up conversation about vision. I think that's a big thing. Steph and I were actually talking about that earlier today, because it's definitely one thing to have the vision, but being able to help people see their own vision.
Yes, and not only see their own vision, but be able to grow their vision. I feel like is huge.
Yes.
So I think we should do vision.
Yes, I definitely think that will be coming soon. But cool. Other than that, yes. I love how we both are saying that at the same time.
I know. Thank you, Stacey, for always having these conversations with me and for literally growing with me through this process, as well as everybody else who hops on these lives. Thank you for everyone who is consistently on these lives and interactive. Appreciate you so much. And Stacey.
Yes, thank you so much. We kind of had a lot of people on here, some regulars and some new people today. So thank you so much to everyone who tuned in, and definitely to everyone who stayed on through the whole thing. And to anyone who might be watching this recording, thank you too. And so much gratitude towards you, Steph, for just inspiring me and provoking me to continuously grow no matter what, because we have this commitment to be here every Thursday. It really has just pushed more growth. So much gratitude towards you, and have a good night.
Have a good night. See you next Thursday.
Bye.